Hey storytellers! Welcome back to the Book Nook. Last time we brainstormed some amazing ideas for our traditional tales. We're one step closer to our storytelling festival. Today we're going to take those ideas and give them a solid shape. So far, we have three important pieces: our main character, our setting, and our conflict. But a great story isn't just about what happens, it's about how it unfolds. Let's get started. So, what do I mean when I say it's important how a story unfolds? Well, imagine if you were reading a story and the events felt totally out of order. How would that make you feel? Or what if the most exciting part happened too soon, before you even got to know the characters? If events are random, readers might get confused. If there's no build-up, the big moment perhaps won't feel exciting. If things happen too fast, maybe we wouldn't get to care about the characters. That's why we don't just think about what happens in our story, we think about how it happens. You might remember that most stories have a similar structure. One way to think about it is with a story mountain. Stories start with an introduction to the main character and their world. Then something happens that shakes things up. The tension or conflict builds until we reach the most exciting or important moment, the climax. After that, things begin to settle, and we see how the story wraps up in the resolution. There's another way to think about story structure. It's called the hero's journey. A writer named Joseph Campbell studied myths and stories from all over the world and all throughout different times, and noticed they had a lot in common. He found that many of the most powerful and memorable stories followed a similar pattern. A hero leaves their ordinary world, faces challenges, and comes back changed. Let's look at a few steps of this classic storytelling structure. What do you think might happen in each step? Pause here to write down your thoughts. The first step is the ordinary world, where we meet the hero in their ordinary, or normal, everyday life. Then comes the call to adventure. Something happens that changes everything and prompts our hero to leave what they know and journey into the unknown. After that, the hero starts facing challenges, struggling and learning as they go. Next is the big test, where they face their greatest challenge. And finally, they return home changed, having learned something important that will stay with them forever. Can you think of any familiar stories that follow this structure? I'm thinking of a few favorites, like Harry Potter, Moana, and Percy Jackson. In each of these, the main character starts out in their normal life, but something happens that forces them to go on an adventure. Along the way, they face conflict and challenges, struggle and learn, and eventually reach a moment where everything is put to the test. By the end, they've grown in some way and returned home changed. Okay, let's apply this to the ocean story I chose last time for my traditional tale. We can brainstorm through each step of the hero's journey to help organize my story elements. In the ordinary world, my main character, Cordelia, lives peacefully by the ocean, unaware of her special connection to the sea. Then, in the call to adventure, she realizes her emotions control the waves, sometimes in dangerous ways. As she begins facing challenges, she struggles to understand and control her power, causing more harm than good. What could some of her specific challenges be? Take a minute to write down a few ideas. What did you come up with? I'm thinking maybe she accidentally causes a huge wave that floods part of her village. Or perhaps every time she feels scared or nervous, the tide rises higher and higher, making it impossible for the fishermen to sail. Maybe she tries to stay completely calm, but that only makes things worse. Like, trying not to think about something and then thinking about it even more. The villagers can start to get worried, causing even more conflict. These are some great ideas for me to consider when it's time to get writing. Okay, then she reaches the big test, the moment where she has to face her greatest challenge. Maybe the ocean grows wild during a terrible storm and she realizes she's the only one who can stop it. Or maybe she must travel to the heart of the ocean to meet the ocean spirit and prove that she's ready to control her gift. Finally, in returning home changed, she has learned how to balance her emotions and use her power wisely. She's not the same girl she was at the start of the story. She understands herself in a new way. Amazing! Now it's your turn. Think about your story idea from last time and try brainstorming each step of the hero's journey. What happens in your hero's ordinary world? What's their call to adventure? What challenges do they face? All those questions are waiting for you as you continue in your own writing process. Next time, we'll take our strong story maps and bring them to life with descriptive details and sensory language. Great job today, storytellers! Keep building those stories, and I can't wait to see where your adventures lead. See you next time!